Welcome back to High School Backups Podcast. My name is Jake. I am here with Kyle and Nick, and we are continuing our NFL offseason pre-draft grades. Today we're going to be doing the AFC West, and honestly, I'm just going to jump right into it. I think the Broncos get a big fat A plus, or A, not an A plus, A, with their all-star staff hires, including Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi, and Vance Joseph. They also added Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers, Zach Allen, and Chris Manhertz, two players along the offensive line where they really needed help. Zach Allen's a really good pass rusher, and Chris Manhertz is a serviceable depth tight end. They lost Draymond Jones and Calvin Anderson, but I think they upgraded Calvin Anderson with Mike McGlinchey. And again, this turns on the fact that their coaching is significantly better than what it was last year with Nathaniel Hackett.
Jake, I have an issue with this.
What?
You don't have them losing Jerry Judy.
They haven't lost Jerry Judy yet.
Or Cortland Sutton.
Both.
That would be funny. This is both. No, I actually really like this. Their staff alone. I mean, they went from an F staff to an A staff.
Like real quick.
Like you went from a staff of a guy who had never won anything and had to prove it to a guy who has won multiple, or at least won a Super Bowl and been to multiple Super Bowls. So, and Sean Payton. So that right alone. Nonetheless, the fact that their team is the same. Russell Wilson's still a big fat L. Maybe this year will be different, but for now.
I was just gonna give him a slight downgrade, just to A minus, not because of their staff, because their staff is clearly better than last year, but just because I don't think their player additions really move the needle that much for what they already had in their roster. I think their coaching staff moves the needle more than the players.
Well, yeah,
I think so. I'm not saying it's bad. A minus is still a good grade for the Broncos. Their player additions to me.
Outside of the Patriots and probably including the Patriots, this is the biggest, coaching wise. They went from an F to an A. The Patriots went from an F to an A minus on their offensive coaching. The entire Broncos staff went from an F to an A.
Yes, agreed.
I'm gonna move. Nick, do you have any more comments?
I was going to start going on the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to go into it.
I'm a secondary Chargers fan. So
I mean, I'm fine with you doing this one. I gave him a B minus for doing nothing, but I love the addition of Kellen Moore. So, go ahead.
I do
I'm going to let you take it.
So I'm a secondary Chargers fan, and it's only 100% due to the fact that I have Justin Herbert, and I drafted him his rookie year when no one else believed in him, and he's been my starting quarterback in my other league, my main league, non-podcast league. And he will forever be my love and savior, even though Trevor Lawrence, I had him as well last year. Justin Herbert is so I'm essentially a Chargers fanboy.
Yes, he is.
Fanboy. So I watched pretty much 16 of their games every year, 16, 17, pretty much every single one. So I know it seems like they didn't do much here, but if we're talking about they went from a C or a D offensive coaching wise to an A in Kellen Moore.
I love Kellen Moore.
He has been, and they added Eric Kendricks and they lost Drew Tranquill. I hate to say it, that's essentially a 1-for-1, except Eric Kendricks is able to rush the quarterback more, and Drew Tranquill is more of a kind of a get a lot of tackles guy we've talked about. But Eric Kendricks can also do that. So I think that's a 1-for-1. So I think a B minus. I think it should be a B or a B plus because of Kellen Moore. If all else stays the same, they've gotten significantly better coaching wise, at least offensively. So that's really it for them.
No, I love it. Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm okay. I think the addition of Kellen Moore is drastic for them. It moves the needle significantly. I'm thinking B minus B for the Chargers, only because I think their locker room is going to be a little iffy if Eckler gets traded. But because he hasn't yet.
Yeah, he hasn't been traded yet. I can't say anything.
Because he hasn't been traded yet, definitely a B because Kellen
he
Moore
asked for it, by the way.
No, I know
he
he
asked
did.
to be traded. So.
I know, which I think
bring
is
him to the
weird.
Patriots. Actually, give him to the Patriots. We'll give you 3 running backs. We'll give you James Robinson, Kevin Harris,
and Pierre Strong Jr. We'll give you all 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
So weird, but yeah. Kellen Moore is going to be massive for Justin Herbert, and I may actually finally like him. We'll see.
Oh my lord! Moving right into the Chiefs, I gave them a C minus. I didn't you lost Orlando Brown Jr. and replaced him with Jawan Taylor. I think that's a downgrade. You lost Juju Smith-Schuster, you lost Andrew Wiley, you lost Juan Thornhill, and you lost McCole Hardman. I don't know who's catching passes for Patrick Mahomes right now.
Hey, other than Travis Kelce.
Other than Travis Kelce, obviously. You did add Charles Omenihu and Mike Edwards, so that saved it a little bit. But you also lost Eric Bieniemy, who I think is better than Matt Nagy, and you replaced Eric Bieniemy with Matt Nagy. So there's your C minus offseason.
All I have to say is when I read the words promoted Matt Nagy, both in your setup here as well as when it actually happened, I laughed because he was one of the worst coaches ever for the Bears.
I can't do it.
His first year, he went to the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky, tippable. After that, absolute dumpster fire. So
The double doink will forever be hilarious.
Yes.
I love that double doink. Absolutely. That double doink lives rent free in my head. But as far as the Chiefs, yeah, C minus. C
That's fair.
C grade maybe just because they kept Patrick Mahomes, and every time you have Patrick Mahomes on that
You get
roster,
slightly
you
upgraded.
get a
But
slight
they
upgrade
did,
every year.
again, we're talking about what they did to get better or not get better. or get
Exactly,
worse.
they
And
kept
it's
Patrick
like,
Mahomes, so they're better because
They didn't re-sign him. Okay, anyways, so C minus I think is fair, and I'll
Yeah.
quickly, I'll might as well jump into it while Jake is drinking.
Go
sipping
for
the
it.
Law. The Raiders, Jake gave them a C grade. I think that's fair. In fact, I might bump it up a little bit to a C plus, only because they did add Jimmy G. Now, I would say that's a downgrade from Derek Carr, but to be frank, Derek Carr, it just wasn't working. So going
That's
from
fair.
a quarterback that isn't working to a guy that's worked with the new head coach for years and really likes him is definitely an upgrade there. Jacoby Myers, I think, is going to play really well across from uh, Devontae Adams, so I think that could go really well. And you also have Marcus Epps on here, which is a great defensive pickup. He's played
Yep.
really well at the Eagles, right?
Yeah, he was an Eagle safety.
And you have Austin Hooper and OJ Howard, which to me, I know that this is necessarily agreed upon, is an equal, if not slightly better than Darren Waller last year. And then Philip Dorsett,
well.
who will they be the wide receiver 3, which is right where he should be. So
I mean, wide receiver 4. He's got Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers to compete with.
that's true. That's true. Hunter
I
Renfro's in.
I like the fact that they added a lot of Josh McDaniels guys. I think that Josh McDaniels, especially after when he was hired, it was kind of weird because the old interim head coach really had the locker room. I don't think a lot of guys were excited. I think bringing in Josh McDaniels guys to help get the locker room like bought in is going to be something that's huge for them. They did lose Derek Carr. That's fair. I have met a C. I think they maintained where they were at, and I think they did a good job bringing in guys that know the system. They lost Denzel Perriman and Andrew Billings. They lost Clelin Ferrell and Darren Waller. The biggest one of that being Darren Waller, I think, at this point. Derek Carr kind of wasn't fitting in. It was time to move on. And so that's why I gave him a C. I mean, I don't think they got any better. I don't think they got any worse. And that's really where it's at.
I disagree and think
Of
they
course you
did
do.
get worse. I have not. Okay, I didn't disagree with everything, so hold your horses.
Just disagree to disagree, Kyle. Huh?
Hey, that's how I roll. Listen, but to me, I think the loss of Derek Carr and Darren Waller are. I think the loss of those two outweigh the additions of Jimmy Garoppolo, Austin Hooper, and Jacoby Myers. Like, I understand where your guys are coming from. Like, I think that will drastically help improve the locker room. That is big. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just like to disagree, dude. They literally stayed the same.
They got worse. Derek Carr is a significantly better quarterback.
Oh, my
And the
Lord.
Giants got worse because they now have Daniel Jones making 27%
We
of their
will
cap.
get there.
We're literally getting there the next video we release. I can't wait
Oh,
to
yeah,
talk about
perfect.
it.
That sounds like
But let's run
I
through...
will be very outnumbered in that one.
Let's run through the AFC West one more time. You know, the Broncos getting an A-, getting an all-star head coaching staff, really love it. The Chargers getting a B- just for simply adding Kellen Moore and not really doing much outside of that. The Chiefs get a C- because you know they've gotten worse. They'll still be the top dog in the AFC. We know that Patrick Mahomes makes them the top dog, but they aren't better than they were at the end of the season. And the Raiders get a C because essentially they stayed the same, added Josh McDaniels guys, lost guys that weren't really producing in the system. And on that note, make sure to like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure to follow us on all of our social medias, High School Backups on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And on that note, peace.